Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Brian Solis.
Good morning. You know, it is such a nice surprise to see people here already, because I saw some of you last night. And I am impressed that you're here. Well, good morning. Yesterday, wow, what a day. We packed in, I think, 742 sessions in, what was that, 18 hours straight. And today, we're going to take it a little bit easier. I think it's just a few less. But it's no less inspiring. It's no less informative. Today's a good day for learning. Today's also a good day for music. So we added some new songs to the soundtrack to keep you pumped up, keep you awake. And also, I wanted to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you. I had conversations with a lot of you in and around the sessions, after the event, and it was great to hear all the feedback. And also, I have to tell you that just talking to you, hearing what you're dealing with, hearing what you're doing, hearing what you're accomplishing, well, I already started thinking about what the program's going to look like for next year, so thank you. Now, as we kick things off this morning, I was thinking, gosh, everybody was out late last night, jam-packed sessions yesterday. What better way to start off the day than with a PowerPoint presentation, right? It's like, gosh, that's how I roll. So let's bring up some interesting things. So as that's coming up, though, I wanted to share some interesting news with you because I watched a weird psychological phenomenon happen. So my publisher, Wiley, brought, I think, about 400 or 500 books of the end of business as usual, and they're giving them away free. They're on a table outside this door. They're there for taking, and I can't tell you how surprised I am at how wonderfully honest everybody is here, because nobody was taking them. They weren't sure if they were free. So I said, we have to just get out a Sharpie and create like this high-tech sign and just write, free, take one, please. But please do. They're here for you. It's a gift to you. And in there is a little bookmark for this. It is my next book that comes out in December. And Barnes & Noble, in honor of Pivot, is offering it as a pre-sale for like some super ridiculous discount. And then it goes dark until it releases later in the year. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. It's a funny title, too. It's called What's the Future of Business? And it was my little creative way of getting WTF on a book cover. And I did that because I have those moments quite a bit with a lot of the executives I deal with. But that's why we're here. We're here to learn to break through those moments. So one of the things that we're doing here at Pivot this year is that, every year we release some research sort of on the state of social marketing, the state of social. And that's going to evolve as the conference evolves, right? Because we are moving in a direction where social is just one part of a greater digital strategy, a greater digital experience. So we're along not only a story arc for each conference, but a story arc as all of the conferences stitched together. This is going to release later in the year, but I wanted to share some very interesting things with you, or at least some of the initial findings. So last year we had asked folks, do you understand your social consumers? Are you clear of what they look like and how they're behaving? And we had almost 80% say yes. This year we have less that are so sure about whether or not they know their social customers. That's not a surprise, right? Because it's not necessarily demographic data that you can pull and start looking at who they are, age, income, unless you start to look specifically for how social behaves, how individuals aren't necessarily grouped by age or income or education, but by behavior and interests. Last year, we asked you what the most important social networks were to your strategy, what was on your horizon. And I don't think that looks like a surprise, although I'm going to be very curious to see how MySpace fares this year with, have you all seen that new MySpace video out there? Yeah? Okay, good. Well, I thought it was a commercial for two things. One, the new MySpace, which is pretty impressive, I have to tell you. Two, Justin Timberlake. So I'm not sure if you went out and bought all of his music, but I will give it a shot. But look at what showed up at number 4 this year. Pinterest. How many of you are on Pinterest? Holy moly, the whole lot of guys' hands went up. It's great. I set up an account. I started pinning things, working on it, although I do find it tremendously Pinteresting. Now, that's an 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning joke. So We also asked folks, do you know what your social customers want? Are you talking to them? Are you getting from them what it is that their expectations are so that you can meet or exceed them? The answer last year was no. The answer this year is hell no. Still have some work to do here, but I think what you're seeing along the lines is that asking questions is a good thing. And I can't tell you, every time I talk about this, folks tell me, well, Brian, why do we need to ask our customers what they want? They don't even know what they want. Or the awesome one I get is, Steve Jobs never asked anybody what they want. Or I'll also get that quote, the Henry Ford quote, that if I asked customers what they want, they would tell me a faster horse. Nobody knew that they were ready for a car. So I think it's a good time to call bullshit on all of that. You cannot be inspired with your marketing, sales, service strategy if you can't at least get an idea of what people are doing, what they want, what frustrations they have. And I can tell you that did inspire Steve Jobs. And I can also tell you that I did some research on that Henry Ford quote, and he actually never said that. At least there's no documented proof that Henry Ford didn't say that. He did lend a quote, and that's also according to the Museum of Henry Ford. There is an interesting quote that he did give, though, and it was in Carnegie's book about how to win friends and influence people, and that was, I'm paraphrasing here, but you do need to look at what your customers are saying and at least read between the lines. Because if you can't see an opportunity for inspiration, at least an innovation or improvement or evolution, then you're just throwing things out there in the dark, and there's no need to do that. I mean, yesterday we spent a lot of time looking at big data, insights, information, how you'd apply that into everything that you're working on. So what is important to them? Well, insight and content, deals, promotions, service, these are things that make the top of the list. It's not a surprise. So now what we're looking at here as we interpret the data is that your need to become a social business with extensions of social hooks across the organization where you face customers, where you face employees, now becomes table stakes. Moving into next year, moving towards a social business is just what you have to do. We're recognizing that conversations do have an impact on lifting the brand, but also brand relevance. And brand relevance is something I think we're going to spend a lot more time on this year. Brand relevance, as you heard yesterday, especially with that MTV research, is can a customer align with who you are as an individual? And that's important because association, affinity, community, these are words that actually demonstrate how someone can stand with you. Not follow you, but stand with you. The things that prevented you from succeeding in social are still the same things that prevent you from evolving social, and budget makes the top of the list. But also unclear outcomes. That Stephen Covey quote, begin with the end in mind. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? What does that outcome look like? And work backwards from there as you're developing your social strategy. Executive buy-in has risen. An increased understanding of social media is also, I guess, increasing is a way to say it. While sales matter in terms of ROI, businesses are recognizing that engagement actually matters more. Customer engagement is something that is going to drive 2013 strategies. The interesting thing about this, though, is how do you define engagement? And I've learned that most businesses define engagement differently. So I'd like to throw something out there for you, and that is engagement is not something as soft as comments and likes and shares. Engagement, I had to actually define it in the end of business as usual. Engagement is just simple. It's when your business touches a customer and when the two of you interact in some way, shape, or form. But how do you measure that? Well, remember 2 slides ago, one of the most elusive things was outcomes. So if you can then define what happens in that moment of truth, or as Google calls it, that moment that matters, what happens next? What's that journey? What's that click? It can't just be a conversion. It can't just be an impression. What's the outcome out of that? Because I actually believe that it's going to be the outcomes where you can measure engagement. And those outcomes, as we heard in the afternoon yesterday, can be designed. Those experiences can be defined. And in 2013, for a lot of you, engagement is going to be a key metric. It tops the list by far as to what you're going to measure. So my friend here, Chris Hewer, sort of inspired this slide. Chris and I were in Sweden several years ago, and he had said, yes, but I can't tell you what happened outside of this conversation. That part is a little fuzzy still. But in this conversation, it was a real passionate moment, and he tells everybody at the table, he said, the problem that he sees is that everybody's trying to put social media in a box, how you know things, how you do things. And he said, just quite passionately in the moment, there is no box. We keep trying to put social into the things that we know, the metrics that we have, the processes that we have. Francine, good morning. It's lovely to see you. So I thought this slide would be appropriate to share with you. Yes, I know, it's blank. And that's the opportunity that we all have. Every one of your businesses are unique. Your relationships that you have with your customers is unique. Their needs are unique. Your channel strategies are unique to you and them. So how you leave this conference and what you do with this information is unique to you. So this is a blank slate. At least that's what it's supposed to be. And that blank slate is yours to paint. This is a picture for you to draw. This is music for you to write. Whatever metaphor you'd like, this is yours to define. I still stand by this, engage or die. This is that time. This is that time to take what it is that you're learning and make a difference. If we don't, somebody else will, or somebody will continue on a path to irrelevance. The thing that we all share today is that we're here together. We're here to learn. We're here to share. When we leave this conference, we leave together in spirit and also on Twitter and Pinterest and Google Plus and Facebook. But we are in this together. We're learning together. This is our time to make a difference.